right. There we go. And get that dialed up. Perfect. Oh, there we go. Let's do a show. My name's Mischke. Ladies and gentlemen, Mischke here with a guest. I have had several guests since I started in February. However, this is the first one I've had in person.
Really?
Why has every other one been on a screen? Because you're the first one who lives here.
Oh, I thought they were just terrified of you.
If you do not recognize the voice, then you must not live around these parts or are new to the area. That's the voice, of course, of Tom Barnard. Many, many years. I don't even know how many years at KQ. I don't even think they know how many years he was there. But now, host of a podcast with your family. What's that called?
Just called the Tom Barnard Show. They thought it was the best name for it because when I left KQRS, I got fired and they told the press that I had retired. So everybody just stopped looking for me because they thought I retired.
Wait a minute. When you were done at KQ, that was a firing?
They fired me. 37 years. It's pretty weird to fire somebody after 37 years.
Now, how did that work? They call you into the office?
Called me on the phone. They wouldn't even come see me in person. They called me on the phone to fire me.
Okay, let's slow this down a second because this is the first time hearing of this. I didn't know this story.
Well, everybody thinks I retired. A flat out lie.
So you were at KQRS for 37 years. And then how long ago was this that you got the phone call?
2.5 years.
2.5 years ago, you get a phone call out of the blue. Tell me how the call goes.
I never met the guy who fired me. He's the general manager over there. And he goes, "Hello, Tom." I go, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Well, I just had to give you the call." I said, "Oh, it's this call, huh?" "Yeah, I just wanted you to know it's got to come to an end." And I said, "Oh, does it? Really? It has to come to an end? How about any severance?" "Nope, we don't have any severance." I said, "After 37 years, really? It means nothing to you?"
Were you under contract?
Yeah, I had another 6 years left of my contract. I had an 8-year contract and they got rid of me after the second year. Yeah.
But they had to pay out your contract, didn't
No, they did not. You have to understand something. A certain political group controls all of the law in this state.
Oh, I don't buy what you're saying right now.
Fact. I've been through it a few times, Pally.
Wait a minute. Maybe we want to talk to the lawyer who you had write up that contract. What's the point of a contract if they can just let you go?
I agree.
The people who I've watched get fired around here who had a contract, they paid out the contract.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody else has. No, it was one of those situations, I think, Tommy, you know this to be true, that if you get that big and you have the biggest show in America, about 75 to 80% of the people hate your guts in the business. People in the business. Because they'll never achieve something like that. And I never thought I would either. It just happened thanks to the people in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
But you didn't get fired for that reason. What reason did they fire you?
Because I didn't agree with their politics and I wouldn't kiss their ass. That's why.
What story would they tell me if I asked them?
That I retired.
Did anybody report that you were asked to leave or told to leave?
I don't think so, no.
Really?
Well, they want to avoid that kind of thing. $6.5 million
that you lost?
Me. Yeah, $6.5 million.
What did you do upon hanging up the phone? What seriously did you do?
It just happened that my attorney was at my house, Michael Bryant, who sponsors a lot of shows over here.
Ron Rosenbaum's replacement?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He replaced Ronnie Rosenbaum. God, I miss him.
Yeah, he was a wonderful human being, and he was your attorney, and I know you guys were close. So Bryant took over. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
so Mike,
took over.
And what did he say when you talked to him after hanging up the phone?
He said, "You could see that coming."
Well, why didn't he say, we'll get that money for you, Tom? That's what Mike's supposed to say.
I understand.
Seeking justice for the injured.
Maybe I wasn't injured. Maybe that's what it was.
You must have been hurt.
Well, of course. It's like, just let me finish my career. Leave me alone. We built quite a thing here. You weren't here when it was built, and that was a big difference, of course. They had nothing to do with the greatness of that station. That was all, Dave Hamilton, Mark Steinmetz.
Did you do a last show where you talked as though it were the last show?
Mm-hmm. Most of the people who were on the show with me at the time, who at that point weren't people that I guess Brian Zepp, he came back though. But I didn't pick the people on my show after Hamilton left. They started replacing the people on the show. And honestly, I never got along with any of them because they wanted the big chair and they weren't going to get the big chair. And
well, they didn't really want the big chair.
Oh, yes, they did.
Don't you mean you didn't like the way they maybe tried to take up too much airtime or something? There's nobody who was on your show who thought, all I got to do is maneuver a little bit and they'll put me in the big chair.
Oh, I think a couple of them thought that. Didn't happen, but a couple of them thought that.
You notoriously, I think you would agree, have not gotten along wildly well with your coworkers.
No, not most of them. That's very true.
And
do your job.
And maybe you're somebody who hasn't gotten along well with humanity.
In general.
The only people I see you actually really get along with is your family.
Oh, I love my family.
You're kind of like the opposite of Johnny Carson to me.
I suppose that is true.
So Johnny was this affable guy when you saw him every night on television.
Yep.
But he was terrible to his family.
That's what I understand, yeah.
You're actually quite loving to your family, but you come across on the air like an extremely angry, misanthropic human being.
Well,
you know that, don't you?
Oh, I definitely know that, absolutely.
So it is a little weird when you do see you around your family and you realize, oh, he's kind of this mushy guy with his
that's pretty
family.
Mushy. It is mushy here.
It's funny, too, because guys who have messed up childhoods, and you're maybe a poster boy for it, guys who have messed up childhoods go one of two ways.
Oh, yeah.
They either have a really messed up family themselves because they don't know any other way to do it, or they determine they're going to do something so much the opposite of what they experienced that they put together a very wonderful family situation. You went the direction of going, I want to have the antithesis of what I knew growing up. And so you have this lovely family. And they wouldn't, none of them would put up with how much time they got to be around you if they didn't enjoy you, because they have to be around you every day. I don't care how much I loved my parents. I don't think I could be around them every day.
True.
And you guys do this show together now. You do this podcast. Is it every day?
Yeah, it's a Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. You get together with two grown children and your wife for how long? How long are you guys in that room together?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half every day. Does it ever get ugly?
No, never.
Astounding.
And I think the reason for that we have to go all the way back to the beginning of why did that happen? Most people know this story, but maybe your listeners might not know the story
of how this ended up coming together like this?
Yeah.
I have a theory. I want to throw my theory.
You got a theory. I like it.
This is my theory.
I like it.
So my theory is you didn't like anybody you worked with, really, ever. They were either okay or rotten, but they weren't great. And you realized, who I really like hanging out with is my family. I'll just do a show with them.
Yeah. No, I think that's about right. I did like some of the people I worked with. I would say about a third of the people. I didn't ever hate anybody I worked with. I got fed up with some of them, but I wouldn't take the time to hate somebody that I worked with. It's a waste of time.
I will say this for people who are not in the business. It is very difficult to work intensely with someone in a creative endeavor every day.
Oh, yeah.
And keep it warm and fuzzy. Abbott and Costello, Martin and Lewis, Vogel and Mischke. We had a good run, but things got ultimately acrimonious. I know other people where there's been a lot of infighting and people listening didn't know about it, but from the inside here in radio, it got ugly and you'd hear about it. So right away, you're at a disadvantage there. But then I also think that you have a certain unique personality that makes it harder for you to get along with other people. I don't know why you wouldn't have just done a show by yourself. When I left Vogel, I just decided, Mischke, it's best that you just stay by yourself and not bother other human beings.
It all goes back to my childhood. There is no question about that. How I act, how I am.
For the people who don't know, we have to set that up. For the people who don't know your childhood, which is just an absolute mess.
It's a total mess.
We should go back there. So here's what I know, and then you can fill in beyond that. Schizophrenic father, but you guys don't know he's schizophrenic for a long time. You just know there's something wrong with him, and he's not a good dad, and he's physically abusive, and he's not a good provider. Family is constantly broke, moving scores of times. You at one point were sleeping in a dresser drawer when you were a kid. Mother was a waitress. Lived in North Minneapolis, rough neighborhood, constantly broke. Fill in anything I'm missing.
One great little thing to add to that. My mother called me. She was working at Merwin Drug in North Minneapolis. She said, Tommy, I need you to go down to the office and pick up the food stamps. I forgot to get them because we were on welfare and they gave you food stamps. So I said, yeah, I'll go down there. I don't know, 12, maybe 13, something like that. You know where the Capri Theater is on West Broadway, Minneapolis? It was right next door to there. So I walk in there and every person turned around and looked at me and some of them said, what the hell are you doing here? You're white. They didn't think any white people ever came in there, which I found hilarious. They were very nice to me. That's what I love about my life, because there are people that still think that I'm a racist, I'm a homophobe, I'm a this, I'm a that, because I treat everybody the same. But in a lot of people's worlds, you can't do that anymore. You have to treat some people very special, which I find offensive as hell.
Clearly, you have said things that pissed off people in these groups, whether it's been Native Americans or Hmong organizations coming, wanting an apology. You don't think any of that justified their anger?
No.
No way?
Because a little child got drowned in a toilet. That's why I said that. We don't do that kind of thing around here.
Wait, you lost me.
The whole thing started because there's no reason to even bring up her race. It doesn't matter. But she had a young baby, apparently didn't want to hang out with the young baby. So she went to the toilet and held the kid's face underwater until the kid died.
Okay.
Treating a human being like that kind of humiliation, I can't tolerate it.
But what does that have to do with race? You lost me.
Well, it happened to be the woman wasn't white.
So the statement that you made associated with it that bothered people was what?
Well, I'll just tell you flat out, she was Asian, which I didn't know, by the way, at first. I didn't know that. So I still would have said the same thing anyway, had I known. I said, look, assimilate. I'll cut the word short. Assimilate or hit the damn road. We don't do that here.
You think that the drowning was part of not assimilating? There are white parents who have kids who do stuff like that.
I understand that. There's no question, but don't do it around me.
But I think throwing the race into it was a little odd.
I didn't know she was.
Well, you had to have said assimilate.
No.
Why would
I knew she was not from the Twin Cities. It said in the news article she was not from the Twin Cities.
I think what goes on with you is I don't actually think you're racist. I think if a Hmong person or a black person came into this room right here and told you how much they loved you, you'd love them. But there is something that gets triggered in you. And I think it tends to get triggered more the more culturally removed from your world it is. Something gets triggered in you and it ends up being aimed at, misdirected at somehow them when I think it's about something else. I actually think most of what all of us do when we go after other people in any kind of way that starts to get a little intense is really about something else going on inside us. I actually think
I think that's probably true, yeah. People don't seem to understand what it's like to live in a house with a man you know is nuts and he doesn't like you anyway. Both my grandfathers never liked me. My father never liked me.
There was a time at 8 years old when your mother and your sister had to pull your old man off. He was beating the hell out of you in the attic. And he was taken away by the authorities. And he was committed to a hospital with schizophrenia. They did shock treatment on him and everything.
Right.
How many men were in your family? Males?
Oh, males? There were 5 boys.
How many girls?
2.
Where did you fall in the family?
Right in the middle. There are 3 older and 3 younger.
Okay. Are the other guys messed up?
Oh, yeah.
What about the anger? You're famous for being, you do research on you in the Twin Cities media, angriest guy in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And I've certainly talked to you enough to know that you know about your anger. I think one time you told me a doctor was looking at your cortisol levels, were like through the roof, just sitting around during the day.
Yeah.
So something happened in childhood that left you an angry guy.
There's no question about that.
And I also think, I think I can go further than this. I know that you've tried to do something about that in many different ways over the years. I one time went to a transcendental meditation course on the east side of St. Paul. And these guys who I'm sure aren't supposed to talk this way, I'm sure there's some legal thing here. They just said, "Oh, Tom Barnard was just here." They knew I was a radio guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "Tom's taking a TM course? What number attempt is that to get at the anger? Try transcendental meditation."
Give it a whirl.
By the way, it didn't work for me. I tried it for a little while and it didn't work. And they asked for a lot of money. I've always wanted that money back.
Yeah.
So you know my story. I have had years of clinical depression. I've been in therapy plenty. You've been in therapy?
Oh, yeah.
Does it do anything for you?
It does at times. The therapy session you and I just had 10 minutes ago just did something for me because I've never, ever considered this, but it's a fact. The reason I got so pissed off at that woman and said, "Assimilator, hit the goddamn road," because I saw that kid as me. I never realized that till right now. I saw that kid as me because I was treated like that when I was a little boy.
You have all sorts of things like that. There was a time, you told me this one time, you were out with your family, at least with Catherine, your wife, and someone didn't hold a door for somebody else.
Oh, yeah, I got very pissed off about that.
And you wanted to kill them.
Yeah, well, I don't know about kill them, but...
You wanted to physically beat them up.
Yes,
you told me your rage was like through the roof.
It was.
Now, you take that and you go on the air and apply it to anything. I don't know what else you would have done with your life, but you were very fortunate to find radio.
Oh, I agree. But I always wanted to do radio from the time I was a little kid.
When you were little?
Yep, because they had a voice and everybody had to listen to their voice. Whereas when I was a kid, the men in my family couldn't care less what I thought, what I said, whatever. Yeah, the men in my family were horrible.
That's very interesting, the way you put that. So the people on radio had a voice. They were allowed to speak. Here was this profession where you could finally just say what you wanted to say, and you got to do that. What was the high point? When were you the happiest? You were out of the house. You were in radio. What point in your career, in your life, were you saying, "Man, this is pretty great"?
My mother was very poor growing up as a kid. Father was a raging alcoholic. They're from Long Prairie, Minnesota. I talk pretty freely about this because we were absolutely destitute when I was a kid. Deeply in debt, no money, nothing. It was miserable every day because there was always something in the mail that was going to set my mother off.
Was she out of control too?
No, she was great. She was a wonderful.
Set her off mean get her crying?
Yes.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But many, many years ago, when I had a big voiceover career and had the #1 radio station in America and everything was going wonderfully well, and we had to go where the client was. So I was always in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles.
For the voiceover work.
For the voiceover work, yeah. I was making a lot of money. And I don't think I've ever told this story in public. This might be a first.
Let's hear it.
My mother, I think for her 75th birthday it was, I went to the bank, got some stuff, and I went to her house. I said, "Mom, this is how much I appreciate how you treated me." And I gave her $1 million in cash. And you know what she did with it? Distributed it to all her friends and family. She hardly kept any of it.
At the Wellshire in Bloomington and Medina, Alzheimer's and dementia residents live in households tailored to their specific stage of memory care. 4 different stages, 4 different living spaces. The staff-to-resident ratio is extraordinarily low, ensuring personalized attention. The Welshire offers beautiful courtyards, exceptional town square-like environments. If you're seeking a place where dignity and individuality are paramount, please tour the Welshire of Bloomington and Medina. They believe every life is unique, vibrant. They're not a facility, they're a community where every individual is seen and heard and cared for in all the ways that really matter. At the Welshire, it's about more than providing care. It's about preserving the essence of who your loved one is, even when the memories fade. The Welshire of Bloomington and Medina. Spectacle Shop. You're not just buying glasses, you're unlocking a new version of yourself. Spectacle Shop, where eyewear is not just a necessity, it's a statement. 4 locations across the Twin Cities, each one designed to redefine what it means to see and be seen. Spectacle Shop isn't just the best eyewear shop in Minnesota, it's where the future of fashion and vision collide. Kapow! Imagine eyewear that makes you feel as bold as your reflection. Frames that don't just fit your face, they fit your life. And every pair is hand-picked to make sure you leave not just seeing better, but feeling better. Spectacle Shop doesn't follow trends, they create them. See beyond your limits. 4 locations, 1 vision. Learn more at spectacleshop.com.
You were in radio. At that point, what did you love about your job?
What did I love about it?
Not the cliche, radio's fun, but I mean, what did you love about it?
That people were actually listening to what I said, because in my
were somebody.
My childhood, nobody ever listened to a word anybody else ever said.
You had a point in your childhood where you came home from school one day and didn't go back to school for a year.
That's correct.
That's a little odd. You weren't sick. Some guys at school had beaten you up. And you came home and you didn't want to go back. And you were allowed, because, I mean, the laws are you got to go to school, but you were allowed to stay home. What was that year all about? What did you do?
A lot of reading.
Okay.
I did a lot of reading. I was, I think, 14 years old. And those guys, all 3 of them were 18. And that's probably, that incident did more for my persona than anything, because I don't even know I'm doing it when I'm like putting someone off. I don't even know I'm doing that. I love people. I absolutely do. I got to get to know them pretty well and all the rest of it.
You may be in the category that you hear people get thrown into, which is, I love humanity. It's people I can't stand.
Exactly.
I mean, Catherine is quoted in one of these media stories saying that you really don't like when someone doesn't like you.
No, I don't care for that. You're right.
And she said in the same quote, but he sure doesn't like a lot of people.
So I adore that woman. I just do.
She sounds like, and everything I read about her, and I've met her obviously and spent some time with her, but if she were here, she'd probably be in the corner correcting you on anything you said that wasn't in line with your actual thoughts and feelings.
But this is a woman, honest to God, she's a stunningly beautiful woman. She's 65 years old now. She's still just beautiful. But it's what's inside that's really beautiful. She's just a magnificent human being. She gets deeply affected by other people being harmed. Watched TV last night and this news story popped on, and I looked over and she was crying.
Now, she would say the same thing about you. In fact, she's quoted in stuff I researched talking about you crying watching television.
I do, yeah.
Vogel, I used to work with a guy who, this would have surprised a lot of people who knew Don Vogel, because he grew up on the tough streets of Chicago as a blind kid and the only kid of an alcoholic father and a mother who was put in an insane asylum. But he would watch, he always called it watching, he was blind, but he would watch the Waltons. That was his favorite show because it showed such a lovely family enjoying each other and getting along. And he never missed the Waltons. Now, he never talked about that on the air.
Oh, he didn't? Okay.
No. that wouldn't have fit. He wanted to be more of a rebel rock and roll guy, but he was another old softy guy that sort of had a persona when he was on the air. You're in your 70s. The life expectancy of an American male is about 78, 79 years old.
In Minnesota, yeah.
Have you given up on the anger management stuff?
No, I think I
Are you still in therapy?
No.
Did it do anything? Because my experience of you, especially when listening to your show, is sooner or later, your father's going to come up.
Oh, yeah.
Sooner or later,
Yep.
you wait around, you're going to bring him up. It's like just haunting your existence.
It's horrendous.
Why didn't, sounds like whatever happened in childhood, there was nothing you could do to shake it.
My father wouldn't even make eye contact with me. I am by far the biggest person in my family. I am 4, 5, 6 inches taller than anybody else in my family. My father was about 5'4". So by the time I was 11, I was already bigger than him. And he didn't like that at all. He was a brilliant man. That's where the sadness comes from. He was just a genius. He would sit down and do these mathematical equations. He did things with magnets that I couldn't. He had a dream that someday everything could be powered by magnetism, that magnets could drive a car down the street. He had all these dreams about all that stuff, but he was treated like dirt when he was a kid, too. I found out later. There were many generations of abuse in that family.
Have you forgiven him?
No. I can never, ever forgive the fact that he didn't care about me in the least. That I will never forgive him for. I'm your son, for Christ's sake.
Well, first of all, he's mentally ill.
Yes.
If a guy had cancer and he didn't come to your ball game as a kid because he was in bed with cancer, you'd understand that.
No. Sorry.
I mean, once your father was diagnosed with schizophrenia, for me, all bets are off. You're not going to get a great dad once there's that diagnosis, nor would he have been capable of being one.
No, he went through shock treatment, all the rest of it. He was basically the last 10 years of his life, he was terrified every day.
I wonder how much of you not feeling better is that inability to forgive him, because you wouldn't be forgiving him for him. You'd be doing it for yourself.
Yeah, that's very, very true. One thing I should throw in at this juncture is, why didn't I end up being a criminal? Why didn't I end up snapping myself? There were 5, 6 families in North Minneapolis where the parents literally, after my father was taken away, I mean, they took him outside in a straitjacket and the whole deal, and everybody knew about it. But the Fisher family, O'Brien family, the Laurent family, and I could go down the list. The mother and father came to me and said, Tommy, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. When your mother's at work, you need anything. 5 families came forward to me and said, you're a good kid, Tom. Don't worry about it.
Have you ever had a male mentor?
Yeah, I definitely have in life. I mean,
because sometimes you replace your father, especially in later teen years, with some other guy that you end up looking up to. You ever have a guy like that?
I did. He was married to my sister. His name was Patrick O'Brien. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He died very young.
Is he the O'Brien from the neighborhood O'Briens?
Yep.
Yep. So your sister married a neighbor kid.
Married a neighbor kid, yep.
And this is, by the way, the sister, let me see if I have this right, about 7 years older than you?
Yes.
Psychologist?
Mm-hmm.
Good God, what would she say about you if I had her here? Someone who actually studies this field. What does she say about you?
She hasn't talked to me in 20 years.
Come on.
No, she has not talked to me. She does not like the fact that I don't embrace her politics. There are a lot of people like that.
That can't be the only reason.
Well, I'm sure it's not, but I just think...
I mean, there's all sorts of families that have different political views and they still get along. 20 years?
Not mine.
Can't be all politics. Actually,
well, no, I don't think it is all politics, but
there was a big profile done on you in the Star Tribune a few years ago, and she was quoted in that. So the guy who wrote that tracked her down on his own.
Was it her or was it my other sister?
No, it was the psychologist with the last name O'Brien.
Oh, yeah, that's Roberta O'Brien.
Yeah.
Now, my sister Vicky and I, she's 2 years older than me. We've always gotten along. She was wonderful. The great thing about her was I was always a lot bigger than everybody else, and she is the tiniest member of our family. So I was the biggest, she was the smallest. But if anybody in the neighborhood ever bothered me, she'd have a fist fight with them. Leave my brother alone.
When you were at KQ in the early years, you didn't touch politics.
No, not much.
And everything was hunky-dory. I remember those years. There was no Tom Barnard's a divisive figure. We're talking.
No, that's true.
We're talking 80s and 90s. Nobody said anything about divisive Tom Barnard then.
No,
you were
not
just
then, no.
the big guy in town who had the big show, and everybody listened to it. And then somewhere along the line, and I'm not sure what happened, you decided you were going to get more and more, or you just did get more and more political, and the show became more of a lightning rod, and you're a controversial figure now. If you research Tom Barnard anywhere online,
Right.
it's just a lot of controversy. Johnny Carson never touched politics.
Never did.
Steve
no.
Cannon never touched politics. They knew what could happen if you go down that road.
Yeah.
Why'd you do it?
To be honest with you, the party that I grew up in got way too severe for me. It's just, you'll do exactly what we tell you to do.
There already would have been the other party then. So when you weren't doing politics, there already was another party you didn't like. It was just a different party. You know, there's always a party somebody doesn't like. That's always the case.
Yeah.
So that couldn't have been it. You already had a party you didn't like. It just switched. But you decided to get vocal about it on a show that really was doing just fine without politics.
The show did blow up after that, though. I mean, it got
It didn't get bigger after politics.
Oh, yes. Because
Wait
they
a minute.
actually had
It
voice.
wasn't 40 share, because I think of your political thing as post 9/11. And your ratings weren't bigger than before 9/11.
I don't remember.
I
were good.
think your show did the best before politics. And of course it's going to, because imagine if Cannon let it be known on his show that he was a radical lefty, which he was.
He was very radical.
He would have lost tons of listeners, but he knew not to do that.
I don't know if he'd have lost tons of listeners in Minnesota. Most people here are radical lefties.
It's actually a fairly divided state.
Oh, I don't see that ever. Unless you go.
You don't see that
some
ever?
are in the country and some are in the city.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, yeah, that way, yeah. But I mean, as far as the city, look, I adore Democrats and Republicans, extreme right and extreme left. I want nothing to do with it.
No, but I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it. Why'd you do politics at all? Why did you go down that road?
Because I got sick to death of
something pissed you off.
Something pissed me off. That's hard to believe. Something pissed me off.
My guess is somebody did something that triggered the 14-year-old Tom Barnard getting beat up in North Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's probably true. Somebody told me there's this nice thing on Facebook called Old North Minneapolis. And I went and looked at the site about 4 or 5 days ago, I guess it was. I looked at it and all these magnificent memories about, Eddie Peck owning Broadway Pizza and all these places I used to go and blah, 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 blah. And then a number of people on there made comments about, Tommy's from this neighborhood and I love the guy and we listen to him all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then followed, oh, I hate him. It's like, this is a nice site. It's about North Minneapolis. Why do you have to come on and talk about how much you hate somebody you don't even know? Why do people need to do that?
You don't do that. You don't say you hate people you don't even know?
No.
My guess is you've done that 2 billion times. Someone's in the news and you attack them and you don't know them.
I know most people.
You did this for a living. That's what a radio guy is.
Well, maybe you have a point. But what I'm saying is,
I think what bothered you about it is what your wife would tell me if she were right here is someone didn't like you and it bothered you. And it bothers you when people don't like you.
It bothers everybody when people don't
Of course it does.
It does. There's no
of course it
question
does.
about
I
that.
can't stand it when I find out that so-and-so hates my show. I hate it when I read that so-and-so thinks I'm a moron. They never listen to me. It's painful. Of course it is.
Very painful. There's no question about that.
Generally, when you feel pain, you have one of two reactions. If you're female, you say that hurts. If you're male, you get really angry.
That's
and
true.
You get angry.
I do get angry. There's no question about it. And I never do this. Other people I know have done it and all, but I never have responded by saying, well, I'm sorry I succeeded and you didn't. A lot of people use that line.
Have you ever done anything on the air where you have felt the need to apologize?
I'll have to think about it. I suppose. Nothing really pops into my head. I mean, you have to understand something. As soon as that show got big, it started separating immediately because each person on the show wanted to prove that they were really important to this show. And it started to really mess the show up badly. No, I'm the star.
Can it really be all their fault? Can it really be their fault? Is it possible you did something wrong?
No, I'm very nice to my coworkers. I'm wonderful to my coworkers. No, people were being told, oh, you're the key to the show. We love. Well, if you love that person, good. But you don't want to tell them you're the star of the show. You're not. Go get your own show or do whatever.
I think the people that worked with you, probably much like Vogel and I, did things in those day-to-day sessions where you're working together that triggered you in some way, hit that button that is some old button, and there's two ways to go in that. One is to look, what the hell's going on with me? I'm getting all pissed off again.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other is to just direct it at them. And I have found in my life that 99% of the time, if I'm extremely pissed off, it has nothing to do ultimately really with the other person.
Oh, really?
Something's going on in me.
Well, yeah, I think that's true.
And you can decide to look at that or not. But, you know, when everybody else is the jerk, there's something going on inside.
Well, let me put it this way, though. Here's a good example of why I have trouble with that. Because in my career, yes, I've done very well. And thank God, voiceover and radio and all that stuff has been fantastic. But I have had not one, not two, but three people that I really like, were really good friends of mine, stole money from me. How dare you do that? I help you out and you steal from, I've known you my whole life. What are you doing? I go out of my way to help you to make sure you're going to pay your bills and everything is good. And then you steal from me? Really? Pisses me off to no end.
I will say there's one quality you have, and it happens to be a quality I like in people. I've learned you have it. I don't know you well enough to know that you have it. I've learned you have it from other people. You have a dear friend in Don Shelby.
Oh, Don and I love Don Shelby.
And a lot of people would be surprised to learn that you guys are friends.
Yes,
because Don wouldn't agree with a ton of stuff you think.
Correct.
But he's a man, much like myself, who admires loyalty.
Yep.
The quality, he says, in you that is the strongest and is the most admirable is your loyalty to people who are your friends. Once they're your friends, you're extremely loyal to them. And there are a lot of people who turn on friends or do things that are backstabbing or do things that are not something a friend would do and show disloyalty. So loyalty is a wonderful quality. And really, when you need a friend, you know, I always think the definition of a friend isn't necessarily somebody who you hang out with all the time, but it's somebody who, if you needed them, they'd be there. Well, that loyalty comes in real handy there. So that's an admirable thing that I've learned about you from Shelby. And it's what keeps him loving you, basically, is that you have this loyalty quality.
That is true.
But boy, he's not in sync with you in much.
I'll give you another example of somebody like that. We agree on nothing politically, but I love Kathy Wurzer. I think she's a wonderful person.
Of NPR.
Of NPR, yes. Yeah. And she's very kind to me, always has been. I just, if I have any friends that are in extreme politics, it's on the left, not the right. You know, I don't know why that happened that way. Maybe it's because I grew up a Democrat and a house. My mother loved the Democratic Party, but her best friend was her cousin Lamont, who was a Minneapolis cop, who was a pretty hard right guy. But they loved one another and they talked all the time. And every time one of them had to go, they'd stand up and give each other a hug and tell each other they loved one another. I mean, it was. Well, there's wonderful to watch.
A way. I mean, there's a way for that to work.
Yeah.
I started out this podcast when I had my first show saying I wasn't going to do politics. I don't go into that world because it's just a mess. Yes. We're overserved already in that department. So I don't go into that. But I said, if you people want to know my politics, I said, I belong to the decency party. Give me your argument, whatever it is. I don't care if it's an argument that someone would perceive as a right take or a left take, but couch it in such a way that your view is being the most decent to the most number of people, and you'll win me over. Just show me that. Because
that's why you and I get along, because I don't think you cared for me at first.
If I go by your radio show, no.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you sounded like a misanthropic, I hate everybody guy. You got to know how you come off.
No, I understand.
And I don't mean that every time you listen, you're hating everybody, but you're so angry. And then when I met you, the first thing we talked about was your anger. And then I thought, well, if we could just talk about this anger. And then
right, exactly.
We started to talk about it, and we started to talk about your childhood. And, I would never dare bring up my childhood after hearing your misery. But
Oh, thank
but
you.
much of my being messed up is from my own years. I didn't have a schizophrenic father.
Mhm.
I was physically hit quite a bit, and he never told me he loved me in my entire life. But
There you
I'm
go.
never gonna
Yep.
compete with schizophrenia combined with the poverty that you had. So I'm not even gonna go there. But I started to see things in you when you can see someone's humanity.
Yeah, that's
Then
that's
you
everything.
you can find your inroads.
Mhm.
Now, I also will say that when I was on your show and I saw how you were with your family, that had a big effect on me.
Oh, yeah.
Because really, that's where you truly see a person.
Yeah, that's right.
The love you have for your family and that they showed for you and that I would witness. And then, you have a very lovely wife. And I often think she's still with him. A lot of people would,
That's a good point.
he can't be as bad as I think. She's still with him. And so I've realized, much like you learn when you see the third dimension of someone. A lot of people that you're taking shots at in this world, you're seeing probably two dimensions of them. If you saw that third dimension, maybe you'd go, oh, that's why they are the way they are. But that's what I saw with you was the third dimension. And then what I've also seen with you is you spend a lot of time trying to change.
I do spend a lot of time.
You spend an astounding amount of energy, and I haven't even scratched the surface on that, trying to better yourself as a human being. And that's noble. That is noble. And it may not work.
It might not. That's true.
And I will say, and I do want to have this be a well-rounded picture of you, I also happen to know that you've given a lot of money to charity. You've helped out hundreds of kids with the cleft palate issue, given a lot to veterans who are in need.
How do you know that?
I do my research.
I do my research. I didn't know the research was out there.
So with everybody in this world, with anybody, most people are complicated and most people have multiple sides and most people have a good side. And if you haven't seen it, you haven't looked enough.
I think
and most of us actually, I'll also say, have a dark side. The thing that I've learned late in life is that I think everybody has a part of themselves they hide because it's a bit unsavory. It's the part of themselves that isn't so pretty to look at. It isn't filled with things you'd want the rest of the world to know about you. But the more we see that in ourselves, the more we can see it in other people without having it ruin our day. Okay, well, that guy's got his thing and I have my thing and we all have our things and none of us are perfect. And by the way, your kids are liberal.
Yeah, they can be.
Shelby told me they're very liberal, your kids.
My daughter
I don't know
is
them
more
well
than
enough.
my son. Yeah, they tend to lean liberal. There's no question. And I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. We've had different lives completely. So for them, yes, they've had wonderful life. There's no question. So they want that for other people. So yes, they probably should be liberal. I agree. I probably still would be liberal if I hadn't been attacked for everything I said. If they hadn't come after me as hard as they did, I probably would still be liberal. But there was a side.
Well, that's a weird reason to be conservative as revenge, as opposed to logically thinking it through.
But that's the problem with the far left and the far right. They both want revenge.
When was the last time you took off on the far right?
Took off
I'll
on them?
sit here for the next 3 hours and wait for you to find a time you can remember going off on the far right.
I go off on the far right quite often because they have some ridiculous ideas. Like the biggest difference, I think, in the two parties, on the far left, it's deep, deep politics that has a lot of hatred in it for people who are not like them. And on the far right, it's deep, deep, deep religion. And if you don't believe what I believe, I hate you. So there's hate on both sides. It's caused by different things.
Retirement. How do you make sure you're ready? How do you make sure your money isn't just working, but working for you? With Josh Arnold, you won't just plan your future, you're going to build it. You'll get more than just numbers on a page. You'll get a personalized roadmap with a strategy that works for you. And it starts with something simple, 48 minutes of your time. That's right, 48 minutes. A free consultation with Josh Arnold, a man with over 40 years of investment experience. 48 minutes designed to not sell you a plan, but to create one. A conversation, not a pitch. Boy, Mischke, you have this advertising thing down. I know, I think I do too. Stop wondering if you're on the right track to retirement. Get clarity, get a plan. 952-925-5608. You rewind this and you get that number down.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. Tommy Mischke is a paid endorser.
There's a reason North American Banking Company feels different from other banks, and it's because they aren't like other banks. They don't believe in any kind of one-size-fits-all solution. You're looking for a loan? These guys want to work with you. We're a long way from these impersonal national banks with all their rules and regulations. At North American Banking Company, they don't just know your account number, they know your name. They understand your goals, big and small, the ones that will shape your financial future. Think about the last time you went to a bank. Was it a pleasant experience? Did you walk away feeling like they really knew you, liked you, cared about you? At North American Banking Company, every interaction is really tailored to you, not some script. They've built a bank where people matter more than the bottom line. They have 6 branches in the Twin Cities. If you're tired of feeling like just another customer, come to North American Banking Company, my new bank.
North American Banking Company, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I read that you wanted to do a completely different show at one point, and in fact said you were going to the point where the papers were writing about it. You wanted to do this more intellectual, bolder, leaving the silliness of morning radio behind. You were written about as planning to leave KQ and do this more cerebral endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 6 weeks after the article ran, that was thrown out the window. What happened?
Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to work with me.
I wonder what that show would have been like. You know what your buddy, you know what your boss back then, I don't know what his name was, but I read that he said, oh, BS, Tom could never have done that because he couldn't have left being number one. He would have been like Michael Jordan going to play baseball. He wouldn't have been able to do it. That was his quote. Maybe that was the reason you didn't do it.
Well, no, nobody wanted to do it with me. I will tell you that. I talked to a number of different people. Nobody wanted to do it with me.
All right. So who is your hero in media? Who is that you modeled yourself after? Who did you think was the best at what you wanted to do?
Well, Cannon was one of them, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought Cannon was absolutely terrific. Boone and Erickson were both so nice to me. It was unbelievable. They're just really, really nice people. WCCO was a force, man. That station, WCCO,
absolutely.
AM, was, I think, believed number one in America, too.
Yep. I'm really glad that I spent 4 years there.
I bet, yeah.
I really loved that period of time of just being connected to that world there. Something about being in radio and just getting at least to one other station to feel that.
Yeah.
And the only other talk station that would have been available to me in town was CCO. So after I got fired from KSTP, to be able to spend some time there, that was really fun. I really loved CCO. And Cannon died as I was negotiating with them. So he was aware of my negotiations and he was aware I was heading over there, but he died before it happened. I would have loved to have had him on. I was with him when he learned he had terminal cancer. I actually had driven him that day to the hospital, and I don't know if he knew that that was going to be the day where the determination was made, where the test results were going to come in, but he walked up to me coming out of the room. I had driven him there, and he looks at me, he goes, "No hope."
God, that's terrible.
I remember one of the sad things, of many sad things, but one of the sad things he said to me, he said, God, I really wanted to get to this new Twin Stadium. I think it was going to open that spring.
Oh, yeah.
And he was dying in the late winter. So he didn't get to.
He died in Florida, didn't he?
No, he died here.
Oh, he did? Okay,
yeah, and I think he died. Well, I know he died listening to a Twins game. I think it would have been a preseason game, spring training game. And he was lying in his deathbed and obviously coming near the end. And the ninth inning ended and he breathed his last, yeah. What do you want to do between now and that ninth inning where you're breathing your last?
I literally, we had already talked about the fact that I've had good friends steal money from me and all the rest of it.
You want to chase him down and kill him?
No.
Oh.
I got to be honest with you, and nobody ever believes me. You would be the first person.
Let's see if I believe you.
I don't give a rat's ass about money. Never have, and I never will. I don't care.
So I don't have any problem believing that.
Good,
so
because most people don't believe me.
I believe you for two reasons. So number one, all sorts of things move ahead of the line. Some kind of respect, some sense that you're a valuable human being, all these things. And what money at times can represent when you're being paid a certain amount is, we like you, Tom. We think you're doing well here, Tom. We want to show our appreciation. Here's a raise. In getting that money, it is not the money itself that is the thrill. It is someone saying, we like you, Tom. So I have no trouble believing that. But what were you going to say about that relating to what you want to do between now and your death?
Well, I think it's all many years ago at KQRS, our general manager retired. And they were looking for a general manager. And this one guy, he actually worked here for a while, really wanted the job and all the rest of it, but they didn't want to hire him. They thought, he doesn't have the best reputation, blah, blah, blah. And so, Tom, would you talk to him, get a thing? Because I had known him. I had worked with him many years before. But I sat down and I talked to him and all the rest of it. And I said, well, the place is in great shape. I mean, I don't think there's really anything you could do all that bad, right? So they hired him. The first thing he did was cut my salary by 25%. I got him the job and he cut my salary by 25%. And I still made more money than he did, but not.
But it didn't matter to you.
Jesus. I mean, it's just.
So back to what you want to do before you die. Mr. Money doesn't matter to me.
Well, it doesn't, but it's just when somebody throws it in your face like that.
Well, it was the disrespect.
It was the disrespect, not the money.
I'll tell you something. You used to have there was a lot of bad blood between you and Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
But you know what? You guys are so astoundingly similar.
We are, yes. There's no
and
question about it.
And I've told him this to his face, and he doesn't disagree with me. He is very thin-skinned, very sensitive.
Oh, God, yes.
Very sensitive. And so are you.
No, not at all. I'm as tough as nails. I don't get emotional about anything.
So what do you want to do? I mean, I'm just in life. Forget, I'm not even talking professionally. What would you like to have happen if you knew you had, say you're going to hit the life expectancy for an average guy in this state? You got a few more years left. What do you want out of it?
5 more. I would like to build a podcast, kind of not really a network, but a group of podcasts to leave to my family. I want my son to eventually take over the current podcast that we have. I think he's really good. He's very smart and all the rest of it. He wants to do it. I don't know if Alex wants to, but Andy does, I know. And Alex probably would, come and do the show or whatever. But I don't know. I suppose that's the one thing I'd like to do as far as business is concerned.
How about personally?
Spending time with my family more than anything else. I adore all 3 generations of my family.
You got grandkids?
Yeah, we have 4 grandkids now.
All right.
And they're just sweet as hell. They're 1 year to 9 years. I love them dearly. Well, yesterday, as a matter of fact, Sage is my daughter's son. And I hadn't seen him because they were out of town for 4 or 5 days, something like that. I'm walking down to the elevator. I push the button. And 30 seconds later, here comes Alex with her 2 kids. And as he walks up to me, he's never done this before. He's 7 years old. He walks up to me and goes, "Hey, Tom." What? What do you mean, "Hey, Tom"? What is that now?
And then after that, he said, "I want to talk to you about these anger issues."
Yeah, these anger issues you have. We got to get this taken care of.
So I want to throw out one last thing to you. Cannon, at the end of his life, said to me, and this is a man who had one of the more extraordinary radio careers in the history of anyone in the entire United States. He said, "Mischke, it's like it never even happened."
Yeah.
It's like nothing ever happened. He said, it's like I'm up on the range and I'm 18 years old and I'm saying to myself, God, I'd like to get into radio. There's no sign I ever was in it. There's no evidence I ever did it. It's like it didn't happen. So this is several years after he's retired from CCO.
Mm-hmm.
And he just marveled at it. I guess he thought that doing it all those years, that there would be something when it was all over tangible, something that felt like you could keep it with you, but it was gone the way a radio show is gone when the show ends and the radio's turned off.
Yep.
And for Steve, it was as though it had never even happened. Do you have that feeling?
Yes, you do have what was that? Yeah, you're absolutely right. It did fly by. There's no question about that.
And when it's over with, there's nothing to touch.
Well, that's my radio career now is over, you know.
I guess I can say for myself, during the time you were doing it, you had to do something. I mean, you were living a life. You had to do something. And it's great that you got to do that versus other things that wouldn't have been as appealing. But to think you get to take any of it with you, or that any of the accolades or any of the ratings mean anything after a few years go by, it is like it never happened. And pretty soon, people won't even remember it anymore for any of us.
Well,
and then pretty soon it will be, was there ever even a guy like that? There is a funny feeling, no matter what mountain you've been at the top of, it fades away.
Well, my guess is nobody under 40 knows who I am. They've never even heard of me, you know?
It's interesting to wrestle with that.
Yeah, it is.
Because, you know, we all have egos, so we all would like to think that it means something, but it's just something we did to make a living.
That's exactly right. Like news.
Well, we have to wrap this up, sadly. I greatly
went 2
appreciate you coming all the way over to good old St. Paul.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Like I said, we got to get you back on our show again. That was wonderful.
And people can find that?
Tom Barnard Podcast is available everywhere. It's
so you just put in Tom Barnard Podcast, you're there, boom.
Yeah, all you got to do is put in Tom Barnard Podcast and it'll show up. And
All right. Thank you again.
Well,
Appreciate it. Safe travels back to the other side of the river.
Thank you for the invitation.